Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Roman Reigns is arguably one of the most popular stars in WWE history. A former champion recently broke character to shower the OTC with praise. The former member of The Shield has been part of some of the Stamford-based company's most memorable moments in the last decade. The captivating character of the Tribal Chief, coupled with the compelling storyline of the Bloodline, helped Roman become a crowd favorite despite being a heel. Former WWE United States Champion Logan Paul recently hailed Reigns for his charismatic presence. On the latest edition of his Impulsive podcast, the Maverick opined that Roman Reigns has more aura than any other guest that has been on his podcast. He noted that everyone can feel the OTC's presence whenever he enters a room. Paul further stated that something in the atmosphere changes every time Roman shows up at a WWE event. You want to know who had the most aura on the show? In my opinion, I think it was Roman Reigns. He's a guy who enters the room and everyone is like, who the FCK is that guy? Watch him come out at a WWE event. Man, I swear to God, something in the atmosphere changes. The whole stadium is just watching this guy, he said. From 134 to 134 in 20 seconds. Roman Reigns has been absent from WWE programming since the Raw after WrestleMania. Roman Reigns suffered a massive setback at WrestleMania 41 as Paul Heyman betrayed him and CM Punk to align himself with Seth Rollins. The Wise Men helped the Visionary win the triple threat match on the grandest stage of them all. On the Raw after the showcase of the Immortals, former WWE Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker joined forces with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. The newly formed faction took out the best in the world and the OTC. Reigns has been away from action ever since. Real-life Bloodline member Rikishi claimed that Reigns was plotting something during his time away from the squared circle. It remains to be seen when the OTC will return to WWE programming. In an era where kayfabe is still protected on-screen, it's always a rare and compelling moment when a WWE superstar breaks character publicly to give flowers to a peer. This week, fans were stunned when former WWE Champion Seth Rollins, widely known for his relentless in-ring style and cunning persona, broke character during a candid interview to praise none other than Roman Reigns. The interview, conducted for an upcoming wrestling documentary titled WWE, Legacy in the Making, was meant to focus on Rollins' journey from his early days in The Shield to becoming one of WWE's most decorated stars. However, midway through the interview, the tone shifted when the interviewer asked Rollins about the impact Roman Reigns has had on modern WWE. The former architect didn't hesitate. "Look, I've been in the ring with the best this business has ever seen," Rollins said, eyes glinting with sincerity. "From John Cena to Triple H to Randy Orton. But Roman Reigns is different. He's transcended the business in a way very few have. And this is coming from someone who's been his brother, his rival, and his equal, at least, I'd like to think so." What followed was a heartfelt reflection that left fans, and reportedly, even the WWE production crew, silent. The Tribal Chief era is real. Rollins continued, discussing Reigns' historic run as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. "You can't fake greatness for 3.5 years. What Roman's doing, it's not just dominance, it's artistry. Every movement, every promo, every beat in the ring, he's meticulous. He's built a dynasty in front of our eyes. And what's wild is, he's doing it with storytelling, not just brute force." When asked about their shared history, Rollins' tone softened. "The Shield days? Man, we were kids trying to make a name. But what Roman's done since 2020? That's legacy work. You don't always recognize a generational talent while they're here, but I promise you, people will talk about Roman the way they talk about Austin and The Rock. He is the era. From rivals to respect." The comment surprised many fans, given the intense and personal nature of Rollins and Reigns' on-screen feud. Most recently, at the 2022 Royal Rumble, Rollins returned to the Shield gear and theme music to mentally outmaneuver Reigns, only to suffer a brutal beatdown that ended in a disqualification. Fans were convinced their animosity was real. But behind the scenes, Rollins made it clear that the respect runs deep. "We push each other. Always have. Even when we're on opposite sides of the ring, Roman makes me better. Iron sharpens iron. And there's nobody sharper than Roman Reigns right now." Rollins also revealed a backstage story from WrestleMania 39, one that fans had never heard before. After his match with Cody Rhodes, Roman came backstage and didn't say much. Just nodded, sat down, and let the moment breathe. I remember patting him on the back and whispering, "You did it again." He looked at me and said, "Still work to do." That's the kind of man he is. Always chasing greatness. Echoes through the locker room. It's not just Rollins who's noticed the shift. According to WWE insiders, Roman's leadership has inspired a new generation of superstars. From Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso to even rising talents like Braun Breaker, many credit Roman for raising the bar of what it means to be a main event star. One producer was quoted saying, "Roman doesn't just lead on screen. He's mentoring guys without needing to say much. His presence alone demands attention. When Roman talks, the room listens." Rollins echoed this sentiment in his interview, emphasizing how Reigns has taken on the locker room leader role once held by John Cena and The Undertaker. "He's the conscience of WWE now," Rollins said. "He's not chasing the spotlight anymore, he is the spotlight. And you can see how that's affected the way younger talent carries themselves. They want to be on his level." Beyond the ring. What impressed Rollins most, however, wasn't just the accolades or the title reign, it was the personal growth of the man behind the tribal chief. Joe, Roman's real name is Leati Joseph Anoa'i, is a father, a husband, a fighter. He's battled leukemia twice. And he came back better than ever. That's not just a comeback story, that's human resilience. That's the kind of stuff they write movies about. Rollins admitted that watching Roman transition into his tribal chief persona was like watching a butterfly emerge from a cocoon. He was always meant to lead, but it wasn't until he stopped trying to please everyone that he found his power. When Roman embraced who he truly was, that's when the whole world took notice. And honestly, I'm proud of him. Will they clash again? The interview ended with a burning question: would Seth Rollins like to face Roman Reigns one more time, perhaps at WrestleMania? Rollins smiled, his heel persona flickering for a moment before disappearing. You don't walk this path with someone for over a decade without wanting one final dance. Roman vs. Rollins. Main event. One more time, no tricks. Just two gladiators giving it everything. That chapter's not done. Not yet. The buzz around a potential WrestleMania 41 showdown between Rollins and Reigns has only intensified after the interview aired. Fans are already fantasy booking the match as a passing of the torch, or a final war between two titans of the modern era. Final thoughts. In an industry where personas are carefully maintained and rivalries are fiercely protected, Seth Rollins' decision to break character and praise Roman Reigns is not only rare, it's powerful. It highlights the genuine respect between two of WWE's biggest icons and reminds fans that behind the larger-than-life personas lie real people pushing each other to achieve greatness. Roman Reigns' legacy is still being written. But thanks to voices like Seth Rollins, fans are beginning to understand just how monumental that legacy already is. As Rollins put it best, we're all just trying to catch up to what Roman's building. And trust me, it's not just a bloodline. It's an empire. Roman Reigns to replace major WWE star at Saturday night's main event and get betrayed again? Potential explored. One of the biggest stars on the planet, Roman Reigns, has been off WWE TV since Raw after WrestleMania 41. To recap, Reigns and CM Punk fell victim to a vicious assault at the hands of Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, partially concocted by Reigns' erstwhile wiseman, Paul Heyman. The 59-year-old, of course, like the man he is, betrayed Punk and Reigns 2 nights before that in the fateful main event of WrestleMania 41 Night 1. While some may love to joke about Roman Reigns taking his annual post-WrestleMania vacation, the tribal chief character is in arguably the most vulnerable state the WWE Universe has seen him in hitherto. He is now fresher and more deeply layered as a character than ever before. And with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, and World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso fighting off Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, flanked by Paul Heyman, he has captivating, albeit contentious relationships, with almost everyone involved. However, with Roman Reigns off TV, one thing that doesn't add up in this entire equation is 3 babyfaces and 2 heels, with Heyman, of course, not of much relevance in any sort of physical confrontation. Consider this scenario: if Sami Zayn is somehow ruled out leading up to Saturday night's main event, say, taken out backstage in an unseen attack, where he and CM Punk will be in action against Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, perhaps Roman Reigns' thunderous return can still level the playing field. However, Reigns' potential return will also tilt the playing field in favor of the babyfaces in the weeks following Saturday night's main event, given the presence of Jey Uso. That would have to be a big no, considering the heels' cool factor and how strong Punk, Reigns, and Uso have been presented. However, Not only could there be more to the Sami Zayn situation than meets the eye, but this added element of Jey Uso could be key to a development that alters the entire landscape of WWE. Could Zayn once again turn his back on the Tribal Chief, and if so, what moment will he choose to deliver the most devastating psychological blow possible? Examining the potential of Sami Zayn joining forces with Seth Rollins and company and turning on Roman Reigns again. Sami Zayn recently vowed to do things the right way and eventually win his first WWE World Championship. Given his position as perhaps the purest white meat babyface in the industry today, the potential of Sami Zayn finishing his story after getting through years of hardship and setbacks is a very compelling prospect. However, he does have legitimate motivations to embrace the dark side once again, as highlighted by Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. His deflection could open the door for a massive six-man tag team match down the line. Unresolved issues with Roman Reigns and envy when it comes to his relationship with Jey Uso might be factors in this decision. Therefore, Zayn, upon his return after the supposed attack, might turn on the OG Bloodline members, revealing that it was all a ruse in the first place. Zayn winning his first world championship by beating Jey Uso after turning on the latter, something his body language has indicated in recent weeks, as well as the only Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, would once again be a very engrossing story, given the history between both men. Nevertheless, turning him heel again after his long run as a bad guy from 2016 to 2023 would be unlikely, and the follow-up being underwhelming could do irreparable damage to Zayn's character for a very long time. The WWE Universe was rocked this week when breaking news revealed that a top-tier superstar had been pulled from Saturday night's main event due to unforeseen circumstances. But it didn't take long for fans to start buzzing, because the replacement is none other than the Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns. However, while this surprise comeback thrilled many, backstage sources say Reigns' return isn't a full redemption story. In fact, it may be yet another betrayal in the making. The shocking lineup change. Saturday night's main event, set to take place in Detroit, was supposed to feature a six-man tag match headlined by Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Kevin Owens against Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and a surprise partner teased by Paul Heyman for weeks. Many speculated it would be Jacob Fatu again, or even Braun Breaker making a Bloodline debut. Instead, WWE stunned fans when the official WWE social media accounts dropped the bombshell: Roman Reigns would replace Cody Rhodes due to a storyline attack on Raw. Reigns was announced as a last-minute stand-in, creating a rare alignment with former rival Rollins and the ever-unpredictable Kevin Owens. This booking is a callback to old Shield roots, but insiders suggest the move wasn't just creative, it was strategic. Heyman's quiet moves. Behind the scenes, Paul Heyman has been visibly absent from recent Bloodline segments. Sources say that's because he's been working on something major, a reinvention of the Bloodline under Solo Sikoa's leadership. The inclusion of Jacob Fatu and the recent dominance of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa have shown fans that the Bloodline isn't dead. It's just evolving. Heyman's pitch? Roman's downfall needs to be televised, slow, and heart-wrenching. That's why Roman's return was quietly approved for one night only, under the belief that it would show fans he was still strong, still Tribal Chief. Only to rip that image apart, again. Saturday night's main event, the match. From the moment Roman walked down that ramp, decked out in black with red trim and a cold scowl on his face, the energy shifted. Fans erupted, not knowing whether to cheer or boo. He stood alongside Rollins and Owens, tense but focused. The match itself was a war. Reigns and Rollins worked surprisingly well together, their chemistry never having faded. Owens had his typical volatile energy, and at one point, he and Reigns even hit a double spear stunner combination to eliminate Jimmy Uso from the fray. It looked like a feel-good return for Roman. But WWE doesn't do feel-good with Roman Reigns anymore. The betrayal, again. Just when it seemed the babyface team had the match won, Roman Reigns tagged himself in to deliver the finishing spear to Solo Sikoa. He ran, he struck, and then, the lights flickered. It wasn't a technical issue. It was deliberate. As the lights came back on, Jacob Fatu stood on the apron, looking Roman dead in the eye. He hadn't been part of the match, but somehow, he was now. Ref distracted. Rollins down. Owens outside. Roman turned, and Solo low blowed him. The crowd gasped. The referee didn't see it. Reigns crumpled, stunned, trying to push himself up when Jacob Fatu launched into the ring and delivered a massive Samoan spike spear combo. Fatu then dragged Solo on top of Roman, forced the ref to count, and just like that, Roman Reigns had been pinned. betrayed, and humiliated in front of the world. Again. The exile of the Chief. After the match, Paul Heyman emerged from the ramp, not with sadness, but with a chilling, pleased smirk. He held up a new custom necklace, draped in black and red stones. He handed it not to Roman, but to Solo. Heyman took the mic. Roman Reigns was the tribal chief of a dynasty based on fear. But fear fades. Tonight, that dynasty burns, and from its ashes, a new king rises. Solo Sikoa is not Roman's replacement. He is Roman's reckoning. Heyman then officially announced Roman Reigns was excommunicated from the bloodline. The commentary team was silent for a moment before Michael Cole whispered, This is more than betrayal. This is bloodline civil war. What's next? Roman was helped to the back by officials, a rare sight. He didn't walk out on his own this time. He looked stunned. He looked lost. The crowd, unsure what to make of it, gave a standing ovation anyway. This wasn't the tribal chief of old. This was the fallen king, the warrior with no empire. Backstage, reports suggest that Roman is on a storyline path toward a full babyface turn, something fans have been craving since his 2020 heel turn. But this time, the journey won't be about dominance. It'll be about revenge, redemption, and maybe reclaiming his family. Why this betrayal feels bigger. This isn't the first time Roman has been betrayed. He's been double-crossed by Jey Uso, manipulated by Paul Heyman, and even cost titles by Solo. But tonight's betrayal hits differently. It was calculated, the lights, the referee distraction, the timing. This was no accident. It was an orchestrated dethroning. It was endorsed. Paul Heyman didn't stop it. He celebrated it. It was final. The symbolic handing over of a new tribal necklace to Solo makes one thing clear: Roman's reign is not only over, it's being erased. Final word. Roman Reigns may have returned to save Saturday night's main event, but he walked away from it betrayed, broken, and no longer the head of the table. But make no mistake, Roman Reigns doesn't stay down for long. The road to redemption begins now. And when Roman comes back, no longer a chief, but a warrior, the bloodline may finally see who the real leader is.